Alright everyone, this is Zero Budget Geek and welcome to Pathfinder Adventure Card Game, Wrath of the Righteous. So there are a couple things that are new in Wrath of the Righteous, and we'll go over them really quickly here. Not all of them will affect our playthrough here. So really quickly, the first big change I want to talk about is the cohorts, which is a new type of card that is in this set. And cohorts are basically a special type of allies that specific characters will start off with these characters as part of their decks, and it doesn't count towards the starting 15 cards of your deck. And after you draw your first hand of the game, you automatically acquire the cohort to your hand. So you always have these cohorts if they're listed on your character card. There is now a 20-sided die in the game. It's not used very often, only certain cards will use it, and that's pretty much a case-by-case basis. There's also something now called mythic paths. Now we won't actually have to deal with these in any of our playthroughs here, because you don't start getting these until you get to a certain point during the campaign. But essentially, at a certain point, you're going to choose a path, a mythic path for your character. So it might be you be going for a mythic champion, or you might be going for mythic guardian, or different things. And basically, you're going to be gaining what's called mythic charges that you'll be able to expend for certain special abilities. But I'm not gonna go too into it, because you only get this, once you start once you get a ways into the main campaign, which we won't be doing. So we're not gonna have to go too deep into that. Another thing is that there are what's called servitor demons. Now, for each adventure that you're going in, a certain demon is going to be sort of like the basic demon for that deck, for that scenario and adventure. And so whenever something says, fight the servitor demon, you refer to this chart and it'll show which demon you're going to be fighting as. Since we're only playing through the basic adventures, the demonling will be the servitor demon for all of those, so we won't have to refer to this chart. And then the last new thing is that certain boons will have a corrupted trait on them, and there will be ways to get rid of that corrupted trait, and then the card will tell you what differences that makes of it. We are going to be playing the basic adventure Into the Worldwound. On the fringes of the wastelands, life goes on. People live in fear of the horrors of the night, but they still proceed with their daily routines, hoping to see the next day. The hopeful place their faith in the Crusaders of Iomede, heroes who patrol the Worldwound in search of any horrific thing that might prey upon the innocent. But on the road to the Worldwound, you won't find a lot of people who trust that things will go well. Maybe you can change that. We will be playing the first scenario, the Godless Ones. The Worldwound's demons would not be so confident about their chances of success without allies hidden among the people they prey upon. The demonologist, Sophini, and several of her Blackfire adept minions want to bend demons to their will. Show them whose will is strongest. During this scenario, when you acquire an ally, you may succeed at an Intelligence or Knowledge 6 check to examine the top card of any location deck. The locations in this scenario will be the Forsaken Cloister, the Manor House, the Marketplace, the Armory, and the Watchtower. So a new thing we're going to be doing for this adventure is we're going to be playing with 3 characters rather than the 2 that I've normally been doing. And by popular demand, the 3 characters will be Adowin, the female human hunter, we will have Balazar, the male gnome summoner, and Shardra, the female dwarf shaman. Okay, so here's the grand overview. Like usual, we have the adventure and scenario cards over here. This is the servitor demon for the adventure, which is the demonling. Here are our 5 location decks. Now you may have been used to the 4 from before, but we have 5 now because we have extra characters. These are the location decks. These are where the characters are going to be starting. Adowin's going to start the Forsaken Cloister. I've decided to have Balazar start the Manor House, and Shardra is going to be at the armory. And then down here we have the character cards. So we have Adowin's cards, Balazar cards, and Shardra, the shaman's cards. That's her hand. The hands are up here, and then you have their decks down here. And this is the blessings deck to count the turns. Okay, we're going to flip over the top card of the Blessings deck to start things off. Adowin will be the first player, then we'll do Balazar, then Shardra. So Adowin will be first. Now Adowin normally has a 5-card hand, which we have drawn here, but because she has a cohort, it will be added to her hand after her first set of cards are drawn. So we will add Laren, which is her cohort. So now she's at 6 cards, so we're going to have to use some cards throughout this turn. Now I started Adowin at the Forsaken Cloister because when you move or are moved here, bury a card. Any character at another location may discard a card to evade an encounter and then move here. So the reason I went here is because we don't want to be moving here, and there is a monster to fight here. Balazar and Shardra, I'm not sure how good they are at fighting monsters, so I'd rather have Adowin take on any monsters. The locations they are at have few monsters, so I think this is a good place to start off. Okay, so our hunter will explore that location, and she meets an ally, a recruit. It's a charisma diplomacy of 3, and he's a human soldier basic. And discard this card to add 1 to any combat check by a character at your location. If proficient with weapons, recharge this card instead. So this could be really useful for us, so let's try to acquire this. Here's Adowin's card. She only has a charisma of a D4, so she doesn't have a really good chance at it. She's a hunter and always in the wild, so she's not very charismatic, but we're going to try to do it anyway. So there's the D4. Now, we do have some blessings that we could spend, but I don't think getting that recruit is that dire, so we'll just roll it straight up, and if we fail, we fail. We most likely will. But we rolled a 4, so actually, this recruit does go to her hand. Alright, so we have a ton of cards in our hand now, so let's use some of these. I think I'm going to go ahead and use Laren here, and I probably should have used this first. Display this card, so that means this will go out in front of the character and stay out until it says otherwise. Display this card to examine the top card of your location deck. If you have a roll card, you may examine the top 2 cards. Well, we're not going to have roll cards. While displayed, so I can, hold on a second. So I can display this to look at the top card of the location deck. While displayed, shuffle this card into your deck to add 1d8 plus the scenario's adventure deck number to your combat check that has the range trait, so she can help me in combat. While displayed, recharge another card to put this card into your hand. Okay, so you can recharge a card to bring it back to your hand and play her again to search, so to look at the location no more. Some more. Now, Adowin does have the ability that says at the start of your turn, you may search your deck or your discard pile for a cohort that has the animal trait and put into your hand, then recharge a card. So she can always call back Laren. So anyway, long story short, we're going to go ahead and display Laren to examine the top card of this location. Okay, so we look at the top card, and it is a monster. It's a ghoul. Check is a combat of 9 to defeat it. The ghoul is immune to mental and poison traits, and if undefeated, end your turn. So all this is just an examine. So we know that's there now. So now let's think about if we want to encounter that. Since there's only one monster in this location, and either a henchman or a villain, I'd rather take this guy out now. So I think I'm going to go ahead and use this recruit that I just got. His second ability is discard this card to explore your location. So we'll discard him and go again and go ahead and fight that ghoul. Alright, so we're fighting the ghoul. So we're going to go ahead and use this hand crossbow. For your combat check, reveal this card to use your dexterity or range skill. Checking on Adowin's range skill. Her range skill is a D12 plus 1, which is really good. And then this hand crossbow adds an additional 1d6. I think I'm going to go ahead and use Laren here. While displayed, shuffle this card into your deck to add 1d8 plus the scenario's adventure deck number, which is 0, to your combat check that has the range trait. So this does have range trait. So we'll shuffle that into our deck, and that'll give us a d8. So we have those 3 dice plus 1, and we just need to get a 9, so that shouldn't be too difficult. I could spend blessings, but I'm not going to. I think this should be enough. So we'll roll it up. And we got a 6, 7, 8, 9, plus 1 is 10. Man, just barely, but we defeated the ghoul. Alright, so the combat is over. The hand crossbow comes back to my hand. Now, I think I'm going to end my turn there, and I could use the fruit lizard to explore again, as well as this blessing that I have. But I don't think I want to do that yet. We went through 2 cards of that location. I think that's pretty good. So we'll end our turn there. We have our full hand of 5 cards, so we don't need to draw anything. We'll draw a blessing card as we go to Balazar the Summoner's turn. Okay, so as a wizard type, Balazar has a 6 card hand, but he starts off with his cohort, which is Padrig, and let's read what he says. Display this card. While displayed, when you attempt a strength check and do not play a weapon, you may put a card on top of your deck to add your arcane skill, which is a d10, to his check. You may banish any number of monsters. For each monster banished, add a d4 to the check. And if you are encountering a monster, add another d6 for each monster banished that shares a trait other than basic or elite with the monster you are encountering. Alright, so Balazar is going to go ahead and display Padrig right away just so we can have that ready, because that's essential for his combats. Now, he started Balazar at the manor house, and the reason I did that is because to close this location, you must summon and acquire a random ally. Well, Balazar's charisma is a d10, and usually you need charisma for allies, so he'd probably be pretty good to do that. So we're going to go ahead and explore the top card, and it is a spell, Force Missile. Now, for your combat check, discard this card to use your arcane skill plus 2d forward, and then after you play this card you can try to recharge it. However, Balazar does have the special ability that says after you play a spell that has the attack trait, which that does, he has to banish it. So he's not, you know, he can't keep attack spell cards like that, but he could use it, so we might try to acquire it. However, before we do that, the manor house does say when you encounter a boon of a type other than loot here, draw a random boon of that type from the box, encounter one and banish the other. So we can actually go and grab the spell cards from the box, and let's just go ahead and grab a random one from the center here, and it is a cure spell. Oh, that is really useful. I think we're going to try to acquire, so we can choose which one we're going to try to acquire. So well, he's actually not good at Wisdom Divine, but it'll be good for Shardra. So we're going to try to acquire the Cure spell. That's just useful. I mean, this is really good for him too, but it'd still be only a 1 use. So let's go ahead and try to acquire the Cure. Alright, well, Balazar's Wisdom's only a d6. I think Charger's going to go ahead and discard a Blessing of Ascension. Blessing of Ascension are like the Blessing of the Gods in the other sets, but instead of Blessing of the Gods, we have Blessing of Ascension. Anyway, she spends that to give him another d6. Now, I really want to get that Cure spell, and I need to get a 6. So, and I need to use up some cards here anyway. So Balazar is also going to use a Blessing of Ascension to acquire the, to get another d6 to try to acquire that. So now we need to roll at least a 2 on 3 dice to get it, and we roll it up, and we got 6 on 1. So he acquires the Cure to his hand. Okay, so that's the Cure card there. Now I'm going to use another special ability of Balazar. You may discard a spell to draw a random monster from the box. And the reason we may want to do that is because Balazar can discard a monster to add a d4 to his combat check. And if the monster has a trait that matches the monster that you're fighting, you get an additional d6, which is great. So we're going to go ahead and discard this Enchanted Fang, because this only gives me a d4 to the combat check, which is the same as banishing a monster. So we're going to discard that to draw a random monster from the box. So here's the monster, so we'll just cut that somewhere and draw that, and he drew a vampire spawn. So if I fight something that is undead, I'll get an additional d6 as well as a d4. Alright, that'll be it for Balazar. Let's go to Shardra the Shaman's turn. Alright, now Shardra normally has a 5-card hand, but she spent a Blessing of Ascension to acquire that Cure spell, or help to get that Cure spell. But she did start off with her own cohort. Now, not all the characters in this Wrath of the Righteous set have a cohort, but some of them do. So she has Kolo. Now he's a little bit different. So Kolo is reveal this card to add 3 to your knowledge check. Recharge this card to add 1d8 plus the scenario's adventure number to a check by a character at your location to defeat a barrier or close a location. So that could be really useful. Now, Chandra isn't really a combat-oriented character. She's more about knowledge and stuff like that. So we gotta be careful of getting into fights with her. Though she does have a Viper Strike and I think one other attack spell. So that's the reason why we actually started her off in the armory. So the armory is full of weapons and armor and really nothing bad other than that there's possibly, well, there's definitely either a henchman or a villain here. But everything else is like good stuff in here. And, you know, an armor would be good to protect her from combats, but we really need a weapon for her because she has no weapons in her deck. At this location, when you acquire a weapon, you may draw a card, and to close it, you must summon and acquire a random weapon. So I think she might be pretty good here. This will set her up for later. So let's go ahead and explore the top card here. And it is a hand crossbow. Well, her dexterity is terrible, so it's not good for her, but our hunter could use this. So to dexterity range of 5. Let's see if we can get this. Alright, well, her dexterity is an abysmal D4, and I really don't feel like spending cards to try to get this, so we're going to probably have to pass up on it. Alright, so we pass up on the hand crossbow. It would have been nice to have, but not really worth spending a lot of cards. Now, because we have so many cards in all these decks to go through, we want to try to take some extra turns. So I think I'm going to go ahead and use this recruit. We can discard him to explore this location. His other ability is add 1 to a combat check, which she kind of could use, but it's only 1 point. So let's go ahead and use it to explore here. Maybe we'll find a weapon or something. So we'll discard him, go again, and we encounter an armor scale mail. This is heavy armor, constitution and fortitude of 4. Recharge this to reduce combat damage dealt to you by 2 or by 3 if the damage is dealt to you before or after you act, which I think there's a lot of that in this adventure. So and then we can banish this to reduce all combat damage or damage dealt to you to 0. Alright, so let's try to get this. Alright, her constitution fortitude is a d10 plus 2, so I think we have a good chance at making this. All we need is at least a 2 on the die. Just don't roll a 1. We rolled it. I thought that was a 1 for a second, so we rolled a 7, so we acquire the scale mail. Alright, the scale mail goes to her hand, and I don't think I want to spend anything to go again. That was pretty good, so we'll end the turn there. Alright, we'll flip this and go to the hunter's turn. Okay, so at the start of the hunter's turn, we can search our deck or discard pile for a cohort. Well, we only have 1 card that matches that. So there's Golarion. So this will go to our hand, but then we have to shuffle this, and then we must recharge a card. I think I'm going to go ahead and recharge this Enchanted Fang. I don't think we're really going to need it, so we'll charge that. That'll go to the bottom of the deck. Alright, let's go ahead and explore. Hold on, before I explore, I'm going to go ahead and use Golarion. Display this card to examine the top card of the location deck. I wanted to make sure I put Golarion out first because we can use her for combat in case there's a combat coming up. So we get to look at the top card here and know what it is. It's just a leather armor. So, well, we're going to be going to do our encounter next. So, our leather armor, it's a constitution fortitude of 2 to acquire. Alright, the hunter's constitution is a d6. We only need a 2. It's not worth spending extra to try to get this. We should be able to get it. And even if we don't get it, it's no big deal. So we'll roll, and we rolled a 5. So we'll get the leather armor that goes to our hand. And again, because there's so many decks and cards we gotta go through, I think we're gonna go ahead and discard this Frilled Lizard. Discard this to explore your location. Now, his other ability is discard this card to add 2d4 to your check against a Bane that has the veteran trait. I don't know how often we're gonna meet up with that. That's pretty specific. I'd rather just use this now and explore again. Might find something pretty good. Okay, we explore and we find henchman, the Susto Demon or Cacodemon, I don't know what it's called. Check to defeat is a combat of 12. That's not too shabby. The Susto Demon is immune to acid, mental, and poison. If evaded, shuffle this monster into a random open location deck. Before you act, the Susto Demon deals 1 fire damage to you. If defeated, you may immediately attempt to close the location this henchman came from. Alright, so we gotta fight this. Before you act, he deals 1 fire damage to me. Alright, so the fire damage, I think I'll just take it on this extra leather armor that I just acquired. I mean, you know, I could actually banish it to reduce it to 0. But anyway, we'll discard that. We lose 1. So we need to fight now. So I think we're going to go ahead and use this hand crossbow. Let's us use our range skill, which is a D12 plus 1. Gives us an additional D4. And because this is a henchman, I think I'm gonna go ahead and shuffle Laren into my deck to get another D8, and I want to make sure I get that. So let's roll this up. All right, so we need a 12. We have these 3 dice plus 1. I think we have a good chance at this. What is that? Well, that was a 1, but this is a 12 just by itself. So we defeat the Susto demon. And if defeated, you may immediately attempt to close the location. So we'll discard him. And to close this, each character at this location must summon and defeat this adventure's servitor demon, which is the demonling here. So he's a combat of 8. And he's immune to electricity and poison traits. Before you act, succeed at a wisdom or perception 7 check, or the demonling may not be evaded, and the difficulty of checks to defeat the demonling is increased by 3. Alright, so we got to do a wisdom perception check. Alright, well, her wisdom's only a D8, so we don't have a really great chance at doing this. I do have some blessings that I could use for that, but I'd rather use the blessings, you know, on the actual check to defeat it. So let's roll this up, and I'll probably fail the check. Alright, wisdom perception, I need a 7, and I roll a 2. So the demonling is now an 11 to defeat. Alright, so now the combat. Let's see. So we're going to go ahead and use this hand crossbow. That'll give me my dexterity range skill, which is a D12 plus 1. This also gives us an additional 1D6. And we don't have our wolf to help us out. So we're going to go ahead and spend a blessing of ascension to give us another of our base die, which is another D12. I just want to make sure we defeat this, because if we defeat this, we close down this location. That cuts out a lot of what we need to do. So let's roll it up. We need to just get an 11. Should be good. We have 6 and 5 is 11 right there, plus more. So we defeat the demonling. Okay, so we close this location. There's no effect when it closes. So all these cards that are left over are just simply banished. And now that's done. Okay, so our hand crossbow comes back to our hand. That blessing we spent is discarded. And we don't have anything to go against. So we're going to just end our turn and draw back up to 5 cards is our max hand size. We get a potion of striding, a blessing of ascension, and 1 more card. And we draw some Trapsmith gloves, which are good against traps and stuff. Okay, we turn things over to the summoner. Alright, Balazar is going to continue exploring at the manor house. He looks at the top card, and it is a codex. It's an item. It tells his knowledge of 8 to get this. His knowledge is a D8 plus 2. So, discard this card to add 1 die to your check to acquire a boon. After playing this card, you may succeed at intelligence or knowledge 10 check to recharge instead of discarding it. So, this is kind of nice, but because we're at the manor house, when you encounter a boon of a type other than loot here, you may draw a random boon of that type from the box and counter 1 and banish the other. So, we'll get these here. We'll cut this, and then we can encounter either one of these. Demon Hunter's Handbook. Recharge this card to add 1d4 plus the Bane's adventure deck number to your check against a Bane that has the cultist or demon trait. After playing this card, you may succeed in intelligence knowledge check of 5 to recharge it. Oh, to review this card instead of recharging it. Which one? Well, the codex I have a slightly better chance to get, so we will just encounter the codex there. Okay, so it's a D8 plus 2 to get that. It's not that great of an item, so I'm not going to expend any extra stuff to try to get it. We'll just roll it straight out. And I rolled a 2 plus 2 is 4, so I do not get the codex. It's banished. Okay, since there's really no monsters or anything in this area, I'm not too afraid of pushing ahead and searching. So we're going to go ahead and discard this frilled lizard to explore the location. Alright, so we explore again. And, you know, it could have been the villain I just thought about. But we find a demon. Oh, another one of these. It's an intelligence 9 to get this. Recharge this card to add 1d4 plus the Bane's Adventure. So this helps against demons and cultist, which could be useful. Or we'll roll this straight out. We have a D8 plus 2. I'm not going to spend any extra stuff. I think we may need our blessings for other stuff. So we'll roll it straight up. And I rolled a 3, which is only a 5 total. So we pass up on the Demon Hunter's Handbook. Alright, I don't think we're going to spend anything to... We could... I think we can... Yeah, we can discard this Librarian to go again, but we may need him for something else. So we're going to end our turn, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he has a 6-card hand. We'll draw 1 card, and he got a Blessing of Ascension. It is now our Shaman's turn. Okay, she's going to keep digging through the armory, looking for a weapon, and we find a long spear. It's a strength melee of 5 to get this. For your combat check, reveal this card to use your strength or melee skill, plus a d8. If you fail this check, you may discard this to reroll the dice, and take the second result. Alright, let's try to get this. Alright, well, her strength isn't too great. It's only a d6, and that's actually what we need to roll to get it. We need a 5. I don't feel right spending blessings to upgrade this, though that long spear would be useful. She does have an attack card in her hand, and there's not a lot of monsters in this scenario, so we're going to chance it. We're just going to roll it straight up and hope we get it. For now, there's other weapons in that deck, so we'll roll that up, and we rolled a 6, so we get the long spear to the hand. Alright, so we have the long spear to our hand, but now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. She only has a hand size of 5, so we'd have to discard something or use something. I don't really want to use the cure yet, because she can only, in her present location, she can only do it on herself. She only has 2 cards, so I don't want to do that. So she has more blessings. We'll go ahead and spend this Blessing of Ascension to go ahead and explore again. Now, I just remembered that the armory does say when you acquire a weapon, you may draw a card, but I don't think we wanted to do that. So we're just going to go ahead and do our second explore, and we find another ally, a grizzled mercenary, charisma diplomacy of 6. Bury this card to add 1d8 to any combat check by character your location. Or you can discard this card to explore your location if you encounter a boon banish it. So charisma diplomacy of 6. Let's see if we can get him. Alright, where her charisma is only a d6, and I don't think it's really worth spending cards to get this. He's kind of nice, but not really dire, especially right now. We have stuff to attack with all the characters, so we're just going to roll it straight up. We need an exact 6 on the die. I don't think I'm going to do it again, so we'll just roll it up and fail. I rolled a 3. I almost had a 6 there, but we failed, and the grizzled mercenary runs away. Okay, the shaman is done. We'll pass things on to the... Oh my god, making a mess here. Alright, it's the hunter's turn now. Alright, at the beginning of the hunter's turn, she can go ahead and call her cohort. I'm definitely going to do that because I want her. Oh, she was right here. So that'll go there, and we'll shuffle up our deck. And then we must recharge a card. Man, our deck feels kind of light here. So we're going to recharge this Potion of Striding, which is kind of crappy. You can banish this card to choose a character your location, and they may move. So that's not really useful. So we'll recharge that, and we get Laren back. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and go over to the marketplace with the hunter, and that way we're kind of working at 3 different locations over here. And I'm going over here because when you attempt to acquire a boon, add 1 to the check, and to close this is to try to acquire another boon. So you know, these are actually pretty nice areas to go in. So let's explore the marketplace. Okay, so let's see what we will see here. We encounter an ally. It is a riding horse, wisdom survival of 7. Discard this card at the end of your turn to move you. Oh my god, you know what? I just remembered that we kept forgetting to do something. When you during the scenario when we acquire an ally, you may succeed in an intelligence or knowledge 6 check to examine the top card of any location deck. I think we did acquire 1 ally at some point, and I failed to do that. So we got to try to remember that. Anyway, back to this riding horse. Wisdom survival of 7 to get this. Discard this card at the end of your turn to move yourself and another character at your location to another location. I've never found that to be useful in any of these games, but maybe in Wrath of the Righteous this is useful. So we'll try to acquire this wisdom survival of 7. Now this is nice. The hunter has a survival skill of a d8 plus 3, so she actually has a decent chance at getting it without having to spend extra cards. Alright, so we'll roll this up. If we get a 7, great. If not, we'll not worry about it. Oh, we do get +1, so we actually have +4 because this is the marketplace. So +4, we just need a 3 or better. We rolled a 7 there, so we acquire the riding horse to our hand. And you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and discard it to explore again, and let's see what we will see. Oh, henchmen, cultist of Baphomet. To human cleric cultist veteran. Oh, there you go. We were wondering about veterans. It is only a combat of 10 to defeat. I say only, but alright. The difficulty to defeat him is increased by the scenario. Before you act, if this is your first exploration of the turn, what is not, it will deal 1 combat damage to me, but it's not because this is my second exploration. If undefeated, shuffle the top card of the blessing deck to your location. If defeated, we can try to close this location. Alright, let's fight the cultist. Alright, well, stupid me forgot to display Laren first, so I can't use Laren to get the D8 on the combat check. So I'm going to have to just use the hand crossbow, which gives me a D12 +1 plus a D6. And you know what? I think we're going to have the summoner is going to spend a blessing of ascension. He's going to discard that to go ahead and give her another of her die. We don't want to lose this. So we'll get that and we'll roll these. All right. So we got 3 dice. We get +1 to the roll. All we need to do is get a 10. It shouldn't be too hard, but I said that before. Oh my god. We rolled a 12 on that one die. So we defeat the cultist of Baphomet. So that's gone now. Choose a type of boon other than loot, summon, and acquire a random boon of that type. What do we want to get? Alright, so I'm going to choose weapon as the type, and hopefully it'll be something that we can use. So, alright, that'll be it, because it fell out. A corrosive dagger. Is that a melee weapon? We want range. Oh, dexterity range of 7. For your combat check, reveal this card to use your dexterity range skill plus 1d4 +1. You may additionally recharge this card to add another 1d4 and the acid trait. Now some things are immune to that. When playing another weapon, you may discard this card to add 1d4. So this is actually pretty cool. So we want to try to acquire that. Okay, so we have a d12 +1 to try to get this. Now that's not bad. We need to roll a 7, but I really want it, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and spend a blessing of ascension. We'll discard that to get another d12. And oh, you know what? We're at the marketplace, so we actually have an extra +1. So we have +2 plus the 2 there. So should do good here. We need to get a 7. Alright, so we have a 11 just on the dice there. So we get the corrosive dagger. Okay, so the marketplace is closed, and it says at the end of your turn you may give a card to any character. That may be useful, but we don't need to do that now. So all these cards go away, and we've closed down yet another place. Only 3 locations left. That'll be in our turn. I don't think I'm going to play Laren now because I won't be able to make use of her ability. So we'll move later and then play. So we're done with the hunter's turn. Okay, now it's the summoner's turn. We're doing pretty well. We've got a lot of turns left. Alright, the summoner keeps exploring at the manor house and he finds a henchman, the cultist of Baphomet. Combat of 10. Before you act, if this is your first exploration of the turn, which it is, he'll do 1 combat damage to you. Alright, so let's try to defeat this. First, we got to take the damage, though. Well, we have to discard 1 card, and I actually have a pattern army here that says discard this card to reduce combat damage dealt to you before or after you act by 2. That could be really useful, but I really don't want to lose everything else. I probably could lose this Blackwing Librarian, but we can recharge the succeed or check to against a boon that has the arcane trait. That is really useful, and I might need it. Alright, we'll lose the armor and let's go for the fight. Okay, so now we get to see the summoner in action. So he's gonna go ahead and fight him, and most combat defaults to a strength check, so that's what he's going to be doing. Now his strength is a d6. Now since he has Padre displayed, it says while displayed, when you attempt a strength check and do not play a weapon, you may put a card on top of your deck to add your arcane skill to that check. So we're going to go ahead and take that cure spell that we haven't been using. We're going to put that on top of our deck, and that'll give us our arcane skill, which is a D10 plus 2. And I'm gonna go ahead and banish this vampire spawn that I've been holding, so that goes away, but that will give us an additional D4. Now none of its traits match the coaches of Baphomet, so we don't get an extra D6, but that's still pretty good. So we have these 3 dice plus 2 to get a 10. I'm feeling pretty confident about that, so let's roll. And we got a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we rolled bad, but we still defeated the cultist of Baphomet. Okay, so we can try to close this. Summon and acquire a random ally. Alright, this is going to be kind of tricky. So here's the allies. We'll go ahead and cut this and draw 1. A researcher, intelligence knowledge of 7, or charisma diplomacy of 6. So let's try to acquire this. Well, let's see what their abilities are. Recharge this card to add 1d6 to your non-combat intelligence or charisma check, or discard to go again. This is actually a pretty good card, so we need to try to acquire it to close the location. Alright, we're going to attempt the knowledge check because we get a +2, so a D8 plus 2. That's exactly what we need. We need at least a 5 or better because we need to get a 7. So we roll, and we roll, ooh, 7 on the die. So we get the researcher to our hand, which also means we get to close the manor house. There's no special effects, so the manor house is closed, and all these cards in that location get banished. Alright, so that'll be it for the summoner's turn. We'll draw back up to 6 cards, and we draw that cure spell that we put on top, a blessing, and brilliant spell, which adds to intelligence checks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, it is now the shaman's turn. Alright, well now we're down to 2 locations left, so I'm a little bit nervous because the boss is in one of these, and Chardra's not good at fighting, though she does have some combat options right now, so I feel still okay. Alright, well let's draw the top card, and it is an armor, magic, scale mail, constitution fortitude of 5 to get it. Recharge this card to reduce combat damage dealt to you by 2 or by 3 if the damage is dealt to you before or after you act. And we can banish this to reduce all damage to 0. And if you're proficient with heavy armors, you will recharge this card when you reset your hand. So that's useful. Alright, let's try to get this. Constitution Fortitude of 5. Well, that's what she's good at. D10 plus 2 Fortitude Constitution. So we have a good chance at this. Alright, D10 plus 2. We need a 5, and we roll a 2 plus 2 is only 4. So we actually do not acquire this nice magic scale mail. I really wanted it. Alright, well I'm really sad I missed out on that, but hey, it is what it is. We did get the scale mail. So we're going to end our turn. We don't have anything to go again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we have our hand, so we don't need to draw anything. Okay, it's back to the hunter's turn. Alright, so since there's 2 monsters plus a henchman or a boss at this watchtower here, we're going to go ahead and go there with her. At this location, you may summon and defeat a random monster instead of the normal check to acquire a boon. Well, that's pretty good, but to close this is banish a weapon, which we kind of don't want to do, but we may have to, so that's where we're going to go. Alright, I'm not going to screw up this time. I'm going to go ahead and use Laren first to look at the top card of that location by displaying her. Actually, I don't know if this wolf is male or female. If you guys know, can you go down in the comment section and let me know, because I'm not sure. And we get to look at the top card here and know, at least know what it is. So we'll look, and it is a monster. One of the 2 that are here. Giant fly. To combat of 9, which isn't too bad. If undefeated, bury a random card from your discard pile. After you act, shuffle this card into a random other open location. Whoa, that's terrible. Alright, let's see what we're gonna do. Well, we really don't have any way around this, so we gotta go ahead and encounter this and fight it. Alright, so combat of 9. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna use our hand crossbow, which is, well, we had a dagger over there, but I think this gives us more bonuses, or it's a little bit higher. So range, dexterity, so we get a d12 plus 1. We get a d6. I'm going to go ahead and shuffle the wolf into our deck to get another D6. So, I mean D8 rather. And we get +1 to the roll here just to get a 9. We should be okay. And 6, 7, 8 +1 is 9, and then we have plenty more. So we defeat the giant fly, but it says after you act, shuffle this card into a random other open location. Well, there's only other one location, which is the armory, so it'll get shuffled in there. Alright, the hand crossbow goes back to her hand. We don't have any ways to go again, so we're just going to go ahead and fill up our hand back to 5, drawing a card. We get a little frog there. Okay, we go on to the summoner's turn. Okay, so I think I'm going to go ahead and have the summoner move over here to the armory with Shardra, because I want to give this cure spell that I've been holding for a while to Shardra. However, I cannot give it to her just yet because you have to be at the same location, and giving a card to someone has to be the first thing you do on your turn. So the first thing I just did was move, so I won't be able to do it. So we're just going to go ahead and explore this armory. Alright, let's see if it's something bad. Nope, we found an armor, a corroded helm, constant fortitude of 3. If this card has the corrupted trait, which it does, bury a random card from your discard pile, or you may not play this card. Recharge this card to reduce combat damage dealt to you by 2. You may play another armor on this check, blah blah blah. Okay, well, we'll try to acquire this. It's a constitution fortitude of 3. It might be worth getting if we can get rid of the corrupted trait, which there are ways to get that. I haven't seen it yet, but we'll get it. Anyway, his constitution is a D6, so we basically have a 50-50 chance because we need to get a 3. We roll and we get a 2, so of course. So we miss out on this corroded helm. I'm not sure if we really wanted it anyway. Alright, I'm not going to spend anything extra to go again, so we're just going to go ahead and pass things off to the shaman's turn because we have plenty of turns still left. Okay, Shardra explores and she finds a hide armor, constitution fortitude of 3, recharges to reduce cold or combat damage dealt to you by 1. Well, let me see here. Her constitution fortitude is a D10 plus 2, so her minimum is a 3. So we can get this if we totally want. I don't think we really want it. We already have extra armor, and if we acquire this now, we'll just be discarding it. This might be better than. All right, I'm just gonna. I'll just acquire it for now. Who knows? We may need it. All right. So with the hide armor, we have too many cards in hand. I think now is a good time to go ahead and do a cure spell since the summoner is gonna give us one. So we're gonna cast the cure spell on the summoner. So it's gonna give him 1d4 plus 1 random cards from his discard pile back into his deck. So we're gonna roll, and we rolled a 2. So the summoner is gonna get back 3 random cards. But let's see if we can recharge this. It's a divine 8 check. Her divine is a D10 plus 3, which is pretty good. So D10 plus 3, we need to get an, where did I set it? An 8. All right. So we rolled 8 there. So we get to recharge this cure. Okay, that'll be it for the shaman. Let's pass things off to the hunter. Alright, at the start of the hunter's turn, we're going to go ahead and call our cohort. There's Laren. That'll go to our hand. And we'll shuffle these up. And then we must recharge a card. I think I'm going to go ahead and recharge this leather armor because a good offense is the best defense, and everything else we really could use. And then I think I'm actually going to use Laren now for her scouting ability. Alright, so let's see what is on top of this watchtower. Chuffy Lickwound. This is a promo card. I forgot I had this in here. Goblin Rogue Veteran. A dexterity or acrobatics of 8 to acquire, or a charisma diplomacy of 7. Review this card and discard any number of cards from the top of your deck. For each card discarded, add 1d6 to your check to defeat a barrier, which could be useful. Discard this card to explore your location. If you are the only character in your location, add 1d6 plus the scenario's adventure deck number to your combat checks during this exploration. Wow, this guy's useful. Alright, I gotta decide which check is best for me. Alright, well, the best thing I have is my dexterity, which is a d12. which is really good. But I would need to get an 8, which is pretty tough. And I think this guy is worth spending to get. So the summoner is going to go ahead and discard a Blessing of Ascension to give me another D12. I get no other bonuses, so I need to get an 8. It's going to really suck if I still fail. Ooh, okay, I didn't. So we get Chuffy Worldwound. Okay, I think we'll end things there with the hunter and go ahead to the summoner's turn. Alright, well the first thing the summoner is going to do, he's going to go ahead and pass this cure spell over to the shaman who can use it much more effectively. Alright, the summoner is going to explore and find a weapon, short bow, dexterity range of 3. For your combat check, there's a dexterity plus a d6. And if you're proficient with weapons, you can discard this card to add 1d4 to a combat check by the character at another location. This will be useful for our hunter. Let's see if we can get it. Alright, well, our summoner's dexterity is only a d6, and we don't really have anything to add to the roll, so we'll just roll it straight out. It's a 50-50 chance, so we might get it, but we might not. We roll a 2, so we miss out on the short bow, which is a shame because the hunter really could have used that. Alright, the summoner is gonna be done with his turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Alright, passing things over to the shaman. Okay, she explores and finds, let's hope for a weapon or arm. Oh, no. It is a henchman. This is a Blackfire Adept. It is a human conjurer cultist. Combat of 11 to defeat or an arcane of 8. Before you act, a character at your location summons and encounters this adventure's servitor demon. If the demon is not defeated, the Blackfire Adept is undefeated. If undefeated, discard the top card of the Blessings deck. If that card has a corrupt trait, discard an additional card. And if it's defeated, we can close this location. Alright, this is going to be a little bit difficult. Alright, so we need to fight this demonling here. Now, since Balazar is at the location, I think I can actually have him and Padrig go ahead and fight the demonling. Now, before you act, succeed at a wisdom or perception 7 check or the demonling may not be evaded. And the difficulty of checks to defeat the demonling is increased by 3. We can't make that because I only have a d6 for that. And I could spend a blessing, but I'd rather just use the blessing for the combat checks. So he's going to be an 11 to defeat. So it's going to be a strength because it's Balazar there. So his strength is a d6. Let me not curse myself by putting that. So we get a d6, and Padrig lets me take a card. I'm going to go ahead and just take this researcher, put it on top of my deck to get my arcane skill, which is a d10 plus 2. And screw it, I'm going to go ahead and use this blessing to give me another of my base die, which is a d6, because it's really a strength check, so we discard that. So we get all of these plus 2 to get an 11. We need to defeat the demonling. Come on, we need an 11. We got 4, 5, 6 plus 2, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Exactly what we needed to defeat the demonling. Now, the demonling is a monster, and Balazar does have the ability that says when you defeat a monster and will banish it, you may add it to your hand instead. So he's going to add the demonling to his hand, and he can use that for a future combat check. Alright, now it's Chardra's time to shine. She's finally going to get a fight, and she's been holding on to this Viper Strike for a long time. So that lets her do her Divine Skill, which is a D10 plus 3, which is actually pretty high, and then we get an additional 2d4. And if I fail this, when a character at your location will fail a check to defeat a Bane, you may recharge a spell to allow that character to reroll the check. So we have a spell here, the Cure. I don't want to do that, so let's try to get this. We need to get an 11. We got 3 dice plus 3. I want to see I feel good, but I don't want to jinx myself. Alright, we rolled a 3 plus 4 is 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we just barely beat the Blackfire Adept. Okay, let's see if I can recharge this Viper Strike. I need to do a divine check of 6, which is a D10 plus 3, so pretty good chance to recharge it. Oh, I rolled a 3, so that's 6 total, so we recharge the Viper Strike. Okay. Now we can try to close this location, summon and acquire a random weapon. We'll go ahead and get the weapons here, and whatever that was. A javelin, a dexterity range of 4. Alright, let's just try to roll to get that. Alright, well, we only have a D4 to try to get this, so that's exactly what we need, is an exact 4. Oops, we're rolling too many dice here. We need an exact 4. Oh, gods are blessing us. We have acquired the javelin and thus are able to close the armory. There's no special effects when it closes, so that's closed, and that means that the boss is left at the watchtower. Well, we're gonna get this javelin, but we're gonna go ahead and discard it because we have too many cards. And I think actually, well, we're gonna hold on to these. We know the boss is in this location, but we don't know how far yet. Okay, we go to the hunter's turn. Alright, the hunter explores the watchtower and will encounter an armor, steel shield, constitution fortitude 5. If you play the weapon that has the two-handed trait on this check, you may not play this card. Recharge this card to reduce combat damage dealt to you by 2 or by 3 if it's range combat damage. If proficient with any armors, you may play another armor in this check. This is actually pretty useful. So constitution fortitude of 5. Alright, well, constitution fortitude is only a D6. I really don't have anything to add to the roll, so we'll just roll it straight up. It's not that crazy worth having. It is nice, but alright, we rolled a 4, so we didn't make it, so the steel shield is banished. You know what? I think I'm going to do something that I haven't done yet. Because Laren has another ability. While displayed, recharge another card to put this card into your hand. I think I'm going to do that. And the reason I think I want to do that is because if I like the card that I see, I have a frog and Chuffy Lickwound that can let me explore again. And Chuffy gives me a bonus to combat checks if the next encounter is a combat. And the frog gives me a bonus to a Bane that has the obstacle. Or if it has the obstacle trap trait, we can instead bury this card and place the Bane on the bottom if it's location deck. So we do need to recharge something, right? Recharge another card. I think I'm going to recharge these Trapsmith gloves. I want to keep these weapons just in case. Alright, so we recharge that. Laren goes to our hand, and then we're going to go ahead and display her again to explore or to look at the top card of the deck. Alright, so she'll go here, and we look at the top card, and it is the villain, finally. Jeez. Sophini, Human Conjurer Cultist. Check to defeat a combat 12 or an arcane 9. However, before you act, summon and counter a random monster from the box. If the summoned monster is not defeated, she is undefeated. If undefeated, shuffle the top card of the blessing deck into your location deck. Alright, so we gotta summon and defeat a random monster. Alright, let's see what we encounter. We find... Come on, give me a card. A cave lizard. Combat of 11, that's not too bad. If defeated during your exploration, you may explore after your explore your location. If undefeated, shuffle the cave lizard into a random open location. Alright, let's see what we pull out on this guy. Alright, you know what? In my excitement, I got a little ahead of myself. That was just the reveal from the wolf exploring. So that wasn't actually the combat check yet. We would have needed to do something to explore again because we had already done an explore, but I was already planning on doing one of these two like I mentioned before. So we're gonna do Chuffy Lickwound. Discard this card to explore location. If you are the only character in your location, add 1d6 plus the scenario's adventure deck number to your combat checks during this exploration. So I would have discarded that, which is what I'm doing, and then we'll get an additional d6 to the combat check. Now we'll keep things the way they were. So it's Sophini, and we're going to be fighting the cave lizard. So we're going to be go ahead and we're going to use this hand crossbow. Okay, so there's the hand crossbow. It gives us our dexterity, which is a d12 plus 1 plus an additional d6, and Chuffy Lickwound is giving us another d6. Oh, I don't want those there. I want them when I roll. All right, we get plus 1 to the roll. We need to get an 11, and this is just to defeat the cave lizard. So we need an 11. We rolled plenty. So we defeat the cave lizard, and now it is on to Sophini. So let's see here. Again, it gives us a D12 plus 1. We get our D6. We get a D6 from Chuffy Lickwound. I'm gonna go ahead and shuffle Laren into my deck to get an additional 1d8. And if you're proficient with weapons, which the hunter is, you may additionally recharge another weapon that has a range trait to add another 1d8. Oh, we have the corrosive dagger. It does have the range trait, so we'll recharge that to get we'll get another d8. And I think that's everything I can add. I don't think there's anything else at all. Nope. All these dice plus 1. We need to get a 12. This should do it. Alright. 9 and 7 is 16, and on. So we defeat Miss Sophini. Okay, so our reward for defeating this scenario, each character draws a random blessing that has the corrupted trait from the box. So we have 3 characters, so we're going to draw until we get 3 cards, 3 blessing cards with the corrupted trait. Let's go ahead. These are the blessings. And we'll just start. That does not have corruption. We're just going to, nope. Oh, this may be a while. Alright, that one has corruption. And that one is corrupted, and that one is also corrupted. Alright, so there we go. Okay, so we've reset our decks, and all the characters started off with the basic decks found in the book, but now the hunter has a corrosive dagger plus 1. She has a hide armor, a blessing of Baphomet, and Chuffy Lickwound. Balazar has a researcher now and a blessing of Abraxas, and Shardra has an extra cure spell. She kept the scale mail that she found, and she has a blessing of Baphomet. Okay, well, thanks for watching this episode of the Pathfinder Adventure Card Game, Wrath of the Righteous. If you liked this video, please be sure to give me a like down below. As always, I'm looking forward to hearing your comments, and let me know what you think. Please point out my mistakes. I don't mind it. It helps me just get better at this game. And if you want to see more games that I've played, go look in the upper right-hand corner for links to those. So guys, until next time, I'll see you soon.